Are you ready, Coco? Are you ready? Let's do a video. Hi, welcome back to Be Swift Art. My name is Barbara Swift. This is my little dog, Coco. And we're continuing on our white egret painting today. So you've seen me do masking fluid, did some brush strokes to represent motion, and now I'm going to start on the pathos vine. I'm not sure if that's how you say it. If anybody knows, leave me a comment. Let me know if I'm saying it right or not. But it's a beautiful vine. It grows up the live oak trees, sometimes the palm trees around here. Has a great big, beautiful, curvy, twisted vine trunk, if you will, where the leaves all come off of it. And the leaves are big. They're at least a foot or a foot and a half large. So they're quite large. So they're really something I've admired for quite a long time. And there's a man in my neighborhood that has it on the corner of his lot in his yard, growing up a live oak tree. So let's go for a walk and we'll take a picture of that little video so that you can see what it looks like. He takes care of it very nicely and it's really, really, really beautiful. So you want to go for a walk? Come on, let's go with me. Not a walk for the Coco. She wants to go for a walk, but I need to have two hands. Yes, so I can't have the leash and everything. So she's going to have to stay behind. But you can come with me. Come on, let's go. Here's a good view of the pathos vine. And I really love how interesting the vine itself is. So it's got kind of sections, almost like a bamboo. You can see where some of the old leaves have fallen off there. And I really think that's beautiful. So I want to also take a good look at the color. And up here where the sunshine's hitting it, you see a lot of yellow, a lot of stripes. So I want to try to remember that. We're going to get started on the pathos leaf. This great big leaf right here. And in my photographs that I took for reference, I noticed that they had a lot of yellow streaks through there that aren't blended in. So they kind of just stand out. And darker greens and lighter shades of green. So they're really variegated. They have a lot of kind of stripes going on in them. So I'm just going to use my quinacridone. I can't remember that. But anyway, that Quin Gold, I'm going to use that. So I'm mixing up a nice puddle of that. And I'm going to do wet on dry. So it's wet paint on dry paper. So I've got my brush loaded here. And just kind of here and there, randomly, I'm just going to put some yellow streaks in my leaves. And they're kind of, a little bit shaggy like that. So they're not real patterned. Just kind of looks, very random. And they also come, on both sides. They come all the way to the edges. And some don't. Like maybe just have a streak come in. So there's no right or wrong. So that's the good news. There's no real pattern to it. So nobody's ever going to look at it and think that you did it in the wrong. So I'm just going to start by putting in some of these stripes, streaks of yellow. So like this here. So I'm not really being too careful, just wherever I feel. And it doesn't have to be all over the leaf. So maybe put some up here. And I'm putting kind of this curved little motion in here to kind of show that the leaves kind of go out, like that. Okay, let me put one here, maybe just like to there. Put some in here. Maybe this whole little section could be yellow. And they don't necessarily have to be on one side and then the other either. So you can mix that up. I just kind of started it out that way. Maybe, well, I guess I'm continuing it that way. Maybe put one kind of going up here. Okay, so there is my Quin Gold that I put down in there. And now I'm going to come in with Sap Green. It is a bit on the brighter green side. I think these leaves, so they got like a lemon yellow. So a little bit of sap would be really pretty in there. And I don't think that's what color I'm mixing up here. I gotta find my sap green. It must be this one. Nope, not that one either. I've got more. I've got more. So I'm going into this. I've been using Daniel Smith, but I'm gonna go into my Magello Mission Gold little palette here. And I got some sap green ready to go right here. So here's my sap. Yes, this is much better. So it's a brighter green. And I'm just kind of painting in almost, this could almost even be a dry brush kind of effect. So I'm just coming in and painting in to find the edge of my leaf here. And I'm kind of going over the yellow here a little bit, so it's not totally solid in all places. I'm going to bring in some more colors too. So I'm just putting in some sap at this point. Kind of going over a little bit. It's so hot here. My paints are drying fast today. So I should kind of think about adding a little bit more water, which here I will. I want to add a little bit of a deeper green as well. Put that in there, get this all in. I'm thinking like kind of in the middle and on the edges, a little bit of a deeper green. Still going in with the sap green. Now I got these little ferns. So I want to kind of go around those leaves and not just go right over the top, because I don't want to change them. And I want to get a little deeper with my green in this underneath area, because we're kind of getting underneath the ferns, and I think there would be more shadow there. A little bit of this green in there yet. Kind of come around. Coming around these little ferns. You probably can't see my drawing very well. It doesn't seem to show up too much because you have to do it pretty light to start with. So, okay, so I'm gonna come back with a little bit more of my Quin in here because I want to make those stand out. So I'd rather that be a lighter area. I'll come back with a little bit of that Quin Gold. And now I want to come in with a little bit of a darker green here. And kind of define a little bit on the edges of my leaves. I'm thinking might look pretty. And I'm just kind of adding in some water. Just add in some dark. I want the dark right down the middle there. And bring it up a little bit. And I think while it's still wet, I'm going to come in with a little bit of a stronger clean gold in some places. And make sure I get all my edges nice. A bit darker gold in there. So just playing with it. Just playing with it. A little bit of that darker green down where it curves in a little bit here. Get my green and then kind of just dabbing it in, let it flow, let it see what it wants to do. This is still kind of wet here, so. Cleaning up my little edge. Coming back with some more Quin Egret gold. Yeah, so I like that deeper gold better. A little bit of the darker green now before I get too far ahead. And then I'm going to come back, do some of these edges. Rinsing my brush between colors. Of course, the golds and the greens look gorgeous together. Letting them mix together nice. Bring some of that up into my petals. Leaves? They're leaves. Darken this up. So we're going to do this to all of the panto sleeves that we have going around this painting. Get a little more darker into here. Bring it out. Get this little edge. I'm using like the side of my brush just to kind of streak it up into the petals there. And like you might want to blend all these little areas in, but it actually, if you can resist and just leave it, they look more interesting to have some of these light spots like that right there. Add a little more dark right down the center here. Okay, so I wanted to put a little bit of salt. So this is just kosher salt. And just in some areas, so there's like a satin finish now on here. And I'm just taking advantage of that because that is when the salt will really do its thing. is when you have, I'm just going to do the one side of the leaf here. Not too much. I'm only putting it kind of like in streaks. Just a little bit. Don't want too much. Just a little tiny bit on that side. And I got my salt handy, so I'm just keeping it handy as we go. Okay, so now a little bit more of my darker green, and I'll tell you what color that is in just a minute. So I'm going to have to look on my color chart to see. Put a little quin on here. So I'm still getting my streaky effect that I wanted, which is great. I think it's looking pretty. Put a little bit of my darker green in here. Get around my little edge there. Like that. Blend that in a little bit there. And then go up here. That water start working. And then I'm going to take my darker green and go back here and then little edge of this leaf here. What do I got going here? Oops. Just going in between my little fern petals here. That one I kind of messed up on. Kind of fix it a little bit. Well, when I messed up on something, as you can see, I don't know if you can see that. Let me get it down a little lower here. There we go. So here's where I messed up. I don't know if you can see that, but I've actually kind of went over on top of my petals from, or my leaves from my fern. So I'm just going to take regular old toilet tissue here, and I'm going to blot it. It's wet. So I'm going to blot it up. I'm going to rinse my brush out really well. I'm going to get some clear, clean water, and I'm just going to go right over that mistake again. And I'm going to take my clean area on my toilet tissue here, and I'm just going to press down and lift up. Get a clean spot, press down, lift up. I did not get a lot of it out, but maybe I can move that paint and soften it just a bit and come back once it's dry and define that little area right there. Didn't do too much, but I think it's blended softer a bit, so that'll be all right. So I'm gonna come back to that area, and now I'm gonna come in with my dark green again, up here a little bit more, and here's the center of this leaf. See where I'm putting these dots? That's kind of the center. Drop in some dark here. While it's still wet, make it kind of not in a straight line. And then I'm going to come with some gold back here. And a little bit there. And I'm going to go in between my little fern leaves. I got to be a little careful. I'm stretching because I want to keep it in view for you, but it's not a really good angle for me while I'm painting, so I'm trying my best here to solve two little problems there. Just going in between. I'm not sure where that's going to over there, so we'll just let it do its thing. Leave it alone. Come back, finish this area up. And that's the top of it right there. And on this side, put a little bit of my gold. On this side, a little bit darker. I'll just drop a little bit in here. And here's that area that I had to fix. So we'll carefully try to do that. And I'm going to doodle a little, and I might just doodle a little extra right there. Just coming in between there. There we go. And watch how they're drying. There. Okay. Now I'm going to come back with a little bit more. I don't want too much salt in here, but just maybe a little bit here, but where it kind of comes back to my fern leaves, I'm going to leave that alone. I can see the salt kind of breaking up that green already, so we're going to let that dry, and we'll just leave that alone. And there we have a beautiful Pothos. I don't know. Somebody correct me on that, because I'm not sure how to say that word. But anyways, there is one leaf, and now for the top of this painting, all through here are more of these leaves. And then there's the same thing on the bottom of the painting. So we're going to finish one side, then move on to the other side, and I'm probably going to splatter a little bit of metallic gold in here at the end, and it'll make it look like sunlight. Just very little bit, you know, on top of some of these leaves. I think that'll be beautiful. So I'm going to continue on doing this just like this one here. So I think we can go over one more time leaf here, and then I'm just going to let you watch, and you can paint on your own, or whatever you are doing, painting or just watching. You can just relax and listen to some music while I paint. So okay, so we'll talk through this one more leaf anyway. Okay, so now if I can see the shape of my leaf, so I think it's kind of bending out this way. So I'm going to put in this Quin Gold. And I'm just kind of making it look like it's streaky. I think I'll have that go all the way to the edge here. Like that. Maybe like one streak there, and maybe one streak there. And maybe this one's coming this way now. And then let's go like that. Just making up my own little pattern. And I think because of these leaves, I want them to show up. Coincidentally, my leaf just happens to be gold there. It's my leaf, I can do that. Maybe make that a little dry brushy looking. Oh, I like that. I think I want this over here to come around. So this one has a big yellow spot. And the one on the other side. Like that. Okay, coming back in now with some of my sap green. Painting around my ferns. And then keeping that motion so that it looks like it's curved. So I'm kind of curving it in towards the center. And if there's a couple little white spots in there, I think that might be cool. So maybe I should leave a few in there. I don't want to cover all my gold, so I gotta be careful not to do that. And then here's some of this green, sap green. Now while that's still wet, I'm gonna come in with this darker green a little bit. Just make a couple nice streaks. Oops, went a little too far there. So that's when you make a new curve in your leaf. There's always a way to tell the story, if it's the way you intended or not. I got a little bit thick on my paint there. Blend that in. So blend it this way. Okay. Don't know if I like that part right there. It kind of really got granulated. Because everything's drying so fast on me here in this Florida weather. So I'm just going to put a little salt on here. It's already kind of satiny. I'll put that on before I move on. Get them salt effects going. So let me mix up my paint a little better in my little puddle here because I got that streak. That's because I didn't mix it up. I was being too quick. Oops, I was just going to say I want to leave that little white spot that I just covered up with my brush as I went. There's one there I'm going to leave. There's one there. Outline it. There we go. So now I don't want to get too blended, which I feel like I am getting a little bit too blended here. I got my dark here. Thinking about my edges. I want to make them nice and smooth at this point. A little bit of gold right there. Some water. It's going to make a bloom because it's so much wetter than the paint underneath. It's going to spread the paint out and make a bloom, which can be a really fun effect. That's my dark. Just going to kind of let that blend for a minute. Come back and swoosh it in where I want it. Come back in with some water here and do that kind of bloom. Maybe a little here too. Just using that water and green that's on my brush just to kind of streak in a little bit of color in there. Okay, so I'm going to dry my brush off, and I'm just going to kind of take it and just kind of dusting the very top of the surface. Yeah, I don't want these to be stripy, so let me quick blend that. Okay, so see how that was done, just brushing it slightly with just the tip of my brush, like right on the surface of it. So that will make a dry brush effect and make it have a little bit of texture. And I'm just streaking these in here a little bit. Yeah. And now I'm watching where, you know, some of that water went down, that, you know, made it a little bit of a bloom, so I don't want it to get out of control. So as it's drying, I'm watching it, and I can soften out some of the edges of that if I don't like them. And I'm cleaning up the edge around this side here. Bringing it in. There we go. Just really cleaning my edges now. Okay. That looks pretty good. And then don't forget the salt. So I need a little bit of salt, like right in here, right in here. Maybe a little there. And that should do it. Well, one spot there. Okay. Alright, one more spot. That's what I do. Go too far. Alright, so now we're going to let that salt do its thing. And this is still wet. I can still see the shine on it. And I'm just taking a regular nail file, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of come in along this little, I don't know if it's a spine, whatever you want to call that, in the center of the leaves there. Yeah, and just kind of makes a line. So when I draw with my nail file, what it does is it makes a little crease in the paper, and then the wet paint will fall into the crease, and then it kind of creates a little bit of a darker line. So it's a nice tip, especially if you want to make veins in leaves and in flowers. That's the good way to do it. You don't have to paint it in all nice and fine like that. It does it for you. So now I am just seeing one little edge in between my ferns here that I wanted to work on just a tad here. Just make them a little neater. Okay, just like that. Taking a look back and seeing if there's any adjustments I want to make. I wasn't too sure about this area right here, but I think I like it overall. I can always come back and paint that if I want. Oh, see what I did? I stuck my hand in it. Now I could take a magic eraser to that, but this pigment looks strong. And I'm just gonna take my water. I don't think it's dry. So just taking my water and getting it really loose with my brush. Just a couple little spots where I dragged through it with my hand, which happens. Now I'm taking that toilet tissue and carefully just blotting it up. There. There. You can do that a couple times. Make sure the water's nice and clean and your brush is really clean. And then I'm coming in with a little finer brush. Just blotting that, getting that wet and then blotting it carefully. There. Just about disappeared. I did get it a little bit into my leaf, which I did not want to do because then that activates that paint, and then where it's wet, it'll roll into that part where I don't want it. But not bad at all. There we go. So that'll work. Okay, so that is how I'm going to do my pothos sleeves. Now this is dry, and I can just rub my fingers on my painting like this. And that will loosen up all the salt. But you got to be careful because the salt now has paint in it. So if there's any area where it's a little damp and that salt goes there, or if the salt is not completely dry yet, it will leave a mark. So what I like to use instead, so I loosen it up with my hands, with my fingers. But now when I'm going to drag it across the rest of my painting to get it off, I like to brush it off. You could use a big fat paintbrush to do that. I have this kind of whisk broom, if I can show you. There we go, little whisk broom thing that I use a lot, especially when I'm drawing. My dad did drafting. So these are tools that he had. I'm sure they're probably still available today, but that was back in the 60s. So these are pretty old. They're kind of neat though. So then I just brush that right off with my brush. And now I can feel over the top of it. And if it feels nice and smooth, I know the salt's all gone. There, my blocking. So you want to make sure it feels nice and smooth. Otherwise that salt will kind of, keep sticking to your paper and it'll always be a spot there. And you don't want that. So. There, so that's all nice and smooth, and I like it. Now what I'm thinking is, I might come back and do some lines on top of here. I'm not sure yet. A lot of the painting decisions happen while the painting is being painted, so I kind of have a rough plan when I start, but by the time I'm finished, a lot of times it's nothing like what I thought it was going to be in the beginning. But that's what's fun to me. It's the creative process. So you keep coming up with ideas as you go. And, sometimes I stay away from a painting too long and I forget all my great ideas. So it's always a good thing to take some notes. So I like to draw it out on a sketch pad, and then I write all the notes of all the things I want to make sure I capture. So, like, for instance, things that I wrote down for this painting were these motion lines that are around the egret, and, kind of whimsical and not too realistic. Just different things that I think about while I'm designing it. And then if that happens, it might happen on the real painting, but at least I can look back and see my thought process to see what I was thinking about. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I am going to finish the top of my painting, which is so long. I don't know if I can get it very well into the camera, but this is my next leaf, which is touching this one. So I have to make sure this is dry before I go over to here. I could start painting on this one here. But I don't want, this is so long, it's way longer than my table, and I don't want to bend it, and I don't have it on a board because I didn't have a board that long. So I am going to just wait till this dries, and I will just start painting the rest of the leaves. I'll put some music on. It's just more of the same. If there's anything important, I'll pop back on and say what I'm thinking, but at this moment I don't anticipate anything that I'm going to need to tell you more, so I think I've pretty much got it all down. Alright, okay, well, I'm going to let that dry and then I'll start painting the rest. This is all dry now. So I'm going to take off some of the salt, all of the salt, loosening it up. It made some really pretty effects. Very beautiful. Nice, nice, nice. A little bit more stuck here yet. There. Okay. So, as I'm looking at my painting as it dried, I'm thinking I want a little more color in these leaves because they are the same as the fern here. And I'm thinking that I need a little bit something going on here. So I'm going to just come back in here with just some water on my brush. And I'm just getting some areas a little bit wet. And I'm going beyond where I want to drop the color in. So I want to drop in some color. I don't want to go too crazy with it because these are not the focus of my painting, right? They're not the highlight. But I don't want it to be boring either, so I'm just coming on in with just a little bit of water. And I'm going to take Viridian that's kind of like a blue-green just to add a little bit of something. Just a little something to make it different from the ferns. So this bluish green, very watered down. I'm not using too much. I want this area a little darker anyway, so I'm going to add a little extra right in here. Then I can also just kind of take, this is going to be so subtle, just kind of drag it on up. Okay, so let's add it in another couple spots, like right here would be a good spot. So I'm just taking water. It's raining outside, and if you can hear it, it's really coming down. So then here's my Viridian. Just bringing it in here. Little stripes, if you will. Yeah, that kind of gives it a little bit more interest. Now I really just want to start playing with this Viridian, but I don't want to get too crazy. Just a little dry brushing a little bit. See, I'm just kind of taking what's left on my brush and I'm just barely touching the surface with it. That's giving it more interest. Yes, I'm more happy with this. Oops, I forgot. You gotta put water first. If you don't, it's really gonna make a strong statement for you that you might not want. Okay. Yeah, I'm liking that dry, brushy look, so I'm kind of just bringing that in. Yeah, I like that. That's pretty. Now, I gotta be careful because here's my salt too. And there was salt here, but I left that part alone. But if you go over it where your salt is, you're gonna ruin the whole effect of your salt. So just kind of think about that. Okay. Now I'm going to come back into my, now this part I love, so I want to kind of leave that. Come up here a little bit with this. In this pattern of, or the shape, the curve, make sure I got that curve. Soften that. And make a bloom. So I'm just putting some water in there. Now that part is kind of blah to me, so put a little water in there. Let's see if I can't get a little bloom going. And then I think I want to put a little bit more right in here, and maybe some here, and down here. Let's get some more of this beautiful color. Oh, I don't want to go over that. That was so pretty. I mean, some will show. If you go over it, you know, don't panic. Like where you're salted and you didn't want to do that, it'll be okay. So these paintings are fun because you don't have to be too precise with this kind of stuff. You're just playing and gotta make that look like it's supposed to be there. I like that. I think that's better. Has a little bit more interest. Okay. Now I wet that corner again, so I gotta let it dry. I can see some stems that I need to put in. So I'm gonna take that darker green, and there is a little bit of a stem going right here. I have to decide what I want to do behind my fern because I obviously can't just leave it white, I don't think. Here's a stem anyway right here. So that's just the stem to this leaf, and it's not an important part of the picture. I'm just going to make it kind of be there, connect it to something else, and be done with it. There, connecting it. There's another stem right back right here. There's another stem, but it's kind of like a shadow. It's just suggestion of a stem there. Okay. So let me, now I'm going to do this leaf because this is touching this leaf. This leaf is wet now where I readjusted. And I'm thinking, you know, now that I've done these two, I can't change the whole look of the whole thing, you know, by, you know, my technique that I'm going to use, and I, you know, and have used right this thus far. So, but I don't want to do it the same way because I just felt like I could have done it better, maybe. So I'm just going to kind of do the same thing right now. It's in. Kind of seeing what the shape is of these, how they're going to fall. Like that. Okay, now I'm going to come back in. I guess I'm kind of doing the same thing, but I want to do it more wet. This is that sap. Kind of be a little wetter than I had in the start. I'm being pretty messy too. I guess that won't matter. Everything just wants to dry in this Florida weather really fast. Because it's summertime. It's July 1st when I'm recording this. By the time it gets out, I'm not sure what it'll be. My husband does all my editing for me. I got him busy with so many different things. So I need to kind of give him a break now and then if I can. But he's working on it. He works hard. So, kind of going a little wet. You can see some of them splatters that I had showing through like that. Okay. Now I'm going to come back with my darker green. So I'm trying to make it a little bit more stripy. I gotta be careful because I don't want it to be way darker than the rest of them either, so maybe a little bit more of the dark. And here, kind of define that a little. Here, straighten that out. That's nice. Gotta leave some of these dark spots. And then right in here, it's underneath this leaf, so definitely want to use the darker green in there. Now I'm going to come in a little bit, some areas with this Quinn. And now I'm going to come in with the Viridian. I'm going to put some of that in this area. Okay. Now I'm going to take my salt. In just a few areas. It gives it a little texture and it makes it look like the sun is maybe shimmering. So when I put it on this areas, I'm thinking of where the sunlight might be hitting it. And then we leave it. And we just let that dry. Now I can see I have it in the salt. I put it in a puddle right there. And when it's wet like that, it's not going to do a whole lot. I don't think anyway, but we've got a lot of it where it's nice. You can see it's just kind of breaking down, and once it breaks down it'll kind of spread out, and then when it spreads out it pushes the paint away, and then you get this nice little textured effect. I don't know if I can, there, you see that? So like this right here. Whoop, there we go, this area here. And here, you can see that nice little kind of sparkly look from the salt. Okay, now before I can paint this one, I have to let this one dry now. This one's dry, but I gotta go and let that one dry. So I'm gonna go ahead and let it dry, and I'm seeing some spots that I wanna just kind of smooth a little bit there. I think I'll take a little of that Viridian, draw a few little little streaky things in there where it's kind of dry. Give those leaves a little more something in there. Okay, now that one is a little darker, especially right in here. So I gotta be careful. Gotta be a little careful. It's gonna dry a little lighter now yet too. But I feel like I got a little bit too dark. I could mop a little bit off. Mop a little bit of it off. That looks better. Okay, gonna let that one dry. So there's a big leaf here, but it's touching it here on this edge, so I can't do that one yet. So yep, I'm just gonna let it dry because I can't do that one because it's touching it there. I could do the one way on the other side, but it just takes a few minutes. Let it dry and come back to it. Okay, so I'm going to come back and take off some of this salt now that it's all dry. And you can see kind of what it does is it makes kind of little pattern, kind of breaks up the paint a little bit, just gives it a little bit of little texture, a little bit of interest. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up these salt. This is the coarse salt that I used on this one here. And I think with the coarse salt, if you put it in when it's a little wet, it gives it a little bit longer of a time to spread out a little bit more and you get more dramatic effects. Where if you're using the finer salt, you have to wait until you get like a kind of satin finish on your surface for the shine and then put the salt on it, and then that gives the best effects. Okay, so now I'm moving on. So I've done my pothos vine leaves. We've done the resurrection fern. I've got a few little flowers coming here with some metallic paint. And as I'm looking at my egret, he is standing on this branch here. But I think I want to draw a little extension of the branch all through all of these little ferns. I got to go around them all because he's got to have something for his feet, which are right here, to wrap around. So I can see my little drawing that I have under here of this branch. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. I'm not going to do it with a lot of detail. I really want it to be soft like the other ones in the background are. So I'm just going to start with a little bit of, very light brown. So I'm going to just start out very softly and just kind of add in layers as I need to. So I'm not going to know exactly how dark or light I'm going to do it just yet. I'm going to have to wait and see as I go. So watercolor's done a lot in layers. So this is a good example of that. You know, we're going to be able to start very lightly and then build it up. See my little branch back here. And I'm being very careful to paint in between my fern. Just giving him something to perch on so he doesn't look like he's just floating in the air. That would be creepy. So just a little color behind here I think is enough. Kind of give him something to stand on. Just so he doesn't look like he's just floating in midair there like, I don't know, genie. Don't mind me. Don't mind me. You can see how lightly I'm doing this, very light. And I'm trying to follow. I have pretty much covered up all of my pencil lines, so it's hard to see them, but yeah, he's back there somewhere. So after I am done painting everything, which I'm almost at that point, I like to go back then and see where I need to add my shadows and need to add a little bit more depth and stuff that separates, you know, things so that they don't look like all one big blob. So I'm always looking at that. So as I'm painting this, I'm kind of seeing things, which kind of brought that up for me. Seeing things that I need to correct. And so that it makes more sense. Just adding in still this branch. Trying to decide now where I want it to end. So there he is. There's his feet and he's wrapped around the branch. So I'm going to kind of define this side just a little. Get that a little darker. Okay, so that's that. That's the fern stem. Lighten that up a little bit. Looks pretty thin. There we go. And define this side just a little bit more. Okay. And then here. Oh, I see. I got the branch. I don't even remember now. It's been a while. I have a branch here, so this one is connecting to that branch. Then it makes a lot more sense. Okay. Okay, so I got that painted in now. And maybe it needs to go a little bit over here some more. Just gotta look at the big picture, right? How it's all gonna look as one. Okay, so that should be plenty wide enough. Continue it on here. There we go. And I'm going to define this edge just a little bit more. Always got to make them look intentional, not like it's just, oops, let's add that in. Want it to look like I planned it that way, right? Which I kind of did, so that's good. Okay. Yeah, so now I can see that there's something back there that he is standing on. Just a little bit of information. Little information for the viewer. Doesn't have to be a lot. Your brain will just kind of go there. If you suggest it, your brain will follow along. It doesn't need every detail. So now I'm just adding in a little bit of darker areas so that it looks like the branch up there, same colors and a little bit of variation. Not too much. Like I said, we don't need a lot of details, but just don't want it to look like it's different, too different from the rest. Okay. So now I have this branch which continues into this branch here. So I'm happy with that. That's okay now. Alright. So now I have to think about shadows. So all of these leaves would cast a shadow on top of the one underneath it. So how much shadow do I want is my question. And then I want to do these little kind of ghost leaves, I call them. That's kind of behind very faintly. That's these same shapes as these, but they're all going to be in this kind of dusty purple that I used. It's called moonbeam, moon something. I'll have to look that up for you. I think it's moonbeam, and it's a purple that's very gray, so it looks like a gray purple. So I am going to look at my painting for a while now and kind of think about these shadows and these ghost leaves and where I'm going to want them to be. And I'm going to bring my camera around on the other side so that you can see it a little better. Okay, be right back. Okay, here's the painting, and it's too big to show all in one shot. So I am going to pick up my camera here and see if I can't let you see it a little bit better here. So there's the pothos on the bottom, there's the egret, and there's the pothos on the top. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start adding those shadow layers that I was talking about. So let's see if I can't bring it out. I don't want to make you sick. But there's that. Okay, so now I'm going to start with some of those shadow areas, and I'm going to start with these ones down here because they look a little, there's more space in there to kind of paint in between. So I'm going to show you what I mean. So I'm going to get that moon glow out. That's what it's called. And I'm going to make kind of a weaker solution of it so that we can start off very lightly. So I'm going to mix my puddle Moon Glow by Daniel Smith. That's what I'm using. And I've got it the consistency of like skim milk. It's just super thin. Just tinted water basically. Just some tinted water. Okay, and so now I'm kind of looking. So if my light is kind of coming this way, so it's coming this angle here. So my shadows would be on these underside areas. So, and it doesn't have to be the exact shadow. It's a shadow of something that's in your paintings. And I call them ghost shadows. Because see how light they're going to be? So there's a stem. It can be a little nerve-wracking. And then I'm just kind of freehanding this because I don't want the little lines. And I'm just kind of freehanding. Get in here before it starts to dry. And then I can come back on the other side here and then fill this in while it's nice and wet so that it's nice and smooth for me. And I'm going to go right into this other leaf right here. So underneath that leaf. So, well, now on second thought, I don't have to go underneath. Let's just go ahead and bring that shadow right on top. Oh, there's a little piece that didn't mix my paint good enough in my well. There we go. So I'm going to bring that shadow there, and then this is going to come around like this here. And I could be using a bigger brush. And then that kind of fill it in over here. There we go. It's just kind of what I call a ghost leaf, as it's just right, not very defined. Just kind of a shadow, if you will. I'm just trying to clean up that edge. It's a little hard because I can't move my painting how I want to, or you won't be able to see. Yeah, okay. Get in here a little closer under my lights. Clean that edge up. Get rid of that. And of course, it's another super hot day, so everything is drying so fast. Okay. So I'm just kind of bringing in the suggestion of a little bit darker areas. Moving that around. Okay, so there's my ghost leaf. I hope you can see that okay. I'm gonna do some more. So I'm mixing up some of my watercolor here. I'm getting it really, really loose, very light paint. Okay, so then here's another, I mean, with that kind of shadow over to there, maybe. Do I want to just kind of add some of that shape in there, like it's covering up and adding some shadow into there. Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. So then this one is going to cover up this one here. So, you know, that's dropped down so much, so I want to make sure I drop this one down too. So I'm going to kind of start in. Doesn't have to be the exact, like I said. Could use a bigger brush probably. So I'm going on top of the one underneath it and letting the one up here be all by itself. And then this kind of had that. And maybe another one here. So I'm kind of mimicking that area right there. And then filling this in. And then there's going to be some shadow on top of this one. So there's leaf here. Bring that around. Like that. Okay. So that's the shadow for that one. So then this one can have a shadow kind of going over that leaf. I'm also using the dirty water because my dirty water has a little bit of green in it. Okay, so then I'm kind of thinking of that leaf there. I don't want to do too much of this though. I'm going to jump up. I'm going to go over here. And I'm going to do that. So I'm kind of doing the shape of this leaf here, but not exactly because I didn't. But it's going to be fine. And then this is going to come down here. And I got some here that I didn't want. Go around that and all into here. Around this. Clean that up. There, and then just fill that in there. Okay, so that's like a little bit of a shadow for that one. And then I'm going to come over. I don't like how that one ended right there. I'm going to move this point a little. Not exactly. Close. Point. There. Okay, that looks better to me. And then I'll add, let's see, so this one's going to be on top of this one, I would say. So let's think about how this one looks. So it's kind of going like this, and then here, and then up. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cover right over my purple flower there. Okay. So that's that, and then this comes again. And kind of lines up with that, so that goes this way. This part here, so then that's coming up and kind of doing that. Okay. So this is going to come out this way and come in. And then this comes out. And this will be behind. And this will be shadow. Okay. So that's how I'm putting in my little ghost leaves and little shadows here. So I think that's probably about enough. I could add a few more little fern shadows too. Now my shadows don't have to be the same color. I could make this, you know, a little bit different. So what I'm going to do is, well, maybe I think I do want to put a little bit down there. I just don't want to get too close to the bottom. So if this is kind of shadow, let's just say it does this. Kind of like that. Just cleaning that up. And then just getting in some paint so it doesn't dry too odd. Oh, things are drying so fast. So fast. So would have been kind of hard to do it wet on wet, but that's probably, with all of this humidity in the air and everything drying so fast, that's probably what I should have tried to do with all wet on wet. Because I am just having a trouble here, having a time with it, but it's still okay. Get that smoother, but every time I go over it, I'm adding more brush strokes. So I'm going to try to even it out down here best I can. Okay. Just try to do the light touch and kind of blend a little bit. Better leave that alone. So I have some more of this. This is greener because of the green kind of transferred in. That one's darker. So I might, I'm going to add more stuff. I'm going to add more splashes and whatnot. So this can be like a stem coming out. Right there, I like that. Okay. I don't know if you can see them, but that's my little ghost leaves. And they're little shadows that they're casting on top of, on top of the other plants there. So I'm going to do the same thing at the top. So I'm going to come around, change my camera for you. That's that right there. Kind of lift it up so you can see, and it's still wet. It's going to dry a little bit lighter yet. You can see it in comparison to this side that doesn't have any shadow. But it's going to have some in a few minutes here, because I'm going to add them now. So I just got to get my camera angled for you. How's that? And I can come a little bit closer. A little bit, just like that. So now it's the same concept, so I'm going to do the same thing, but I am going to be smarter and grab a little bit bigger of a brush. So I was using a number 6. I'm going to a 14 round, and I'm getting that moon glow, and I can definitely tell I can grab a whole bunch more with it, make a bigger well of my paint so I don't have to keep coming back. And then that also changes the color quite a bit, so don't really need that. But so I'm looking at this one here is on top of here, so that's pretty easy to see. So I'm gonna just kind of skim this top edge, just barely, and then bring it down into here. And I think I already have found I need maybe a little darker. It's a little harder to get it clean. And then this one, I'm gonna come around here. Oops, the lines too much. Okay, so I got this one here, and then it just has a couple of oops. Just painting in between them. I know I'm getting silent here because I'm concentrating, and it's kind of hard sometimes to concentrate and paint at the same time. So that's what's going on. And I'm just trying to clean up this edge. Okay. And then I'm going to just bring it into here so it has a landing place. A little bit out here, just like that. Okay, I like that one. That turned out nice. So now I'm dipping my brush back in my paint, and now this one here. So it looks like this one this one is on top of this one. So I'm just going to come around and kind of mimic that shape. Not too much because I got these leaves here, or not leaves, but the plumage. I don't want to take away from that. Okay, so that's that one. And I could go a little darker. I think I could have went a little darker here. Okay. So I've got some loaded up my brush again, and I'm looking at this one. So it probably would cast a pretty little shadow onto here. Here is its little end there. So let's see, fill that in. Okay. Leave that like that. So I say I'm going to leave it, and then I keep painting, as I normally do. Okay, cleaning it up just a little, couple spots. Okay. So I'm filling up my brush again, And I'm looking at this one here. So he's probably shadow over the top of this one. So that's going to be that. And then it's going to come like this. And then down into that. And then be back here. Fill that in. Whoops. My green is really, I got a big blob of green I must have had on there from when I painted the leaf. So I'm just getting out some regular old thin 1-ply toilet paper. I'm just blotting that up. And I'm going to take my smaller brush. My little dog is growling. Guess she wants me to, maybe I'm squeezing her too hard. I'm holding her. Okay, so I'm just bringing my brush in. Get some of those little details. And smoosh out this little blob of green that got in there. I think I better. Sometimes you leave well enough alone. And it's not too horrible, so I think I'm going to leave it alone. And as I say that, I don't leave it alone. That's the part, leave it alone. Okay, so that's that one. Now I'm going to add one for up here. So if this was like this, maybe it came out to there. Let's bring it out. And I'm just going to go really softly over those ferns. And then I think I want to get her better. Okay. And then we still have one more, which is this big leaf here. So it's going to be casting a shadow. Now, is it going to be behind the feathers or in front of the feathers? I would think the feathers are in front. So I am thinking about this shadow because I don't really want it to go over those feathers. So maybe I'm going to do this, this, this. And then here, a little bit over the feathers, not as much this way. And then bring this down to here. And then this out. To there. And this one will be behind, but that's going to be right in there. And just fill this in. Okay, so that's that shadow. Okay, oh, that's stroke. There. Oops. Okay, that'll be good. Whoops, I do want to clean this up right here. I don't know if that's in the frame for you or not, but it had a little smudge. There we go. And of course it's darker because I'm adding another layer. There we go. Fix that up. Okay. So that's it for the shadows on those big pothos. I'm not going to shade him anymore. I kind of did the egret while we were painting him. So remember we put all the purples in around these areas to shade him. So he's good. So now I can put in some little ghost shadows of my ferns, which are these guys right here. Not necessarily by the ferns. I could put a few little tiny ones, not many, 2, 3. That's about it. Okay, so that's what we're going to do, and I think I would like to use a different color, and I'm going to sit down for this one. I was standing for the last one. So I got to put little Coco down. Ah, Boo Boo, she's a sweetie pie. She pretty much just lets me do, you know, pick her up or do whatever with her. She's very, very easy. Good little girl, aren't you, Coco? Okay, so now I've got this kind of mossy green. That's really pretty. I could do that, or I could go with a gold. I have an awful lot of green in this painting, so I think that I am going to go with more of a neutral color. So this is kind of a gold and brown. So this, I believe, is an umber. I'm so bad at those things. I'll look at my color chart here, and this is going to be, let me see, raw umber. I'm going to use raw umber. That's a good color. It's always a good nature color. As it's gold, it's pretty, it's sunshine, but it's also not overpowering, and it just blends in with nature. So I'm making me a well, again, very light, you know, to the consistency of basically tinted water. That's all. And I'm taking that number 6 brush again, and just seeing there's some of that there. So there's a spot right here that I think would be good. So I'm just going to take and just mimic those little leaves, petals, leaves, they're leaves, on my little resurrection ferns here. And like I said, I'm not going to do too many of them. I'm keeping it just a hint, just a little extra detail inside that just says, you know, look at all of the thought that went into this painting. Yeah. So, drawing the little stem to connect them. And there we go. So yes, I put in some of these ferns. My camera went off. And right now, I just want to connect some of them. I'm just going to make a little place here. And I'm just putting some squiggly, leafy fern leaves. My little shadow, ghost. Little fern leaves. With my raw umber, I believe it was. Trying to leave it like pointier at the stem area and pointy at the top so that it doesn't look like a big blob. So these are just those little details that dress up my painting. So my first step is motion. So remember, we put all those big motion marks in the background. It kind of set the feeling for my main topic, which was the egret. So it kind of gave me a whole feeling about him and how his feathers are going to go. I gotta get some water. A little disorganized here because I'm painting on the wrong side of my table. Again, because it's so big. So I'm walking around my studio and trying not to be too distracting for you. But I needed to get some water, so bear with me. I'm no professional, but I really enjoy sharing what I can here, so that's why I do this, because I want to share, and I want to share with my students too. I want them to be able to do things at different skill levels. So on my channel here, I'm trying to incorporate some things that are beginner and some things that are more for, you know, those who have painted a little bit before and want to just learn a new technique or just follow along. I'm always learning. I'm hopefully never stop learning, because that's the fun of it, isn't it? So I see these things or catch little details and experiment, and I try them out with you. So I hope that you're enjoying my videos. If you are, let me know by giving me a thumbs up, and also subscribe, like and subscribe. That tells YouTube that you like my videos, so then they think, well, they're worth sharing with other people. So they will put it on other people's suggestions and suggested videos, and then that helps my channel to grow, and hopefully they will share with their friends and tell them about me and other watercolor artists that they know. So it'd be a lot of fun. And then I have my Facebook group, Creative Watercolor Art Club, and that's another place that I would like to just share all kinds of thoughts and ideas about watercolor painting and things that you've learned or things that you'd like me to experiment with and try on my channels so that you can see them. At this point, I'm not monetized. I don't make any money at this, or no advertisers. All that will come though, and that's what I'm trying to grow it towards, so that I can just continue to do what I love to do, and that's art and paint and teach and share with you. And if I'm able to continue and do that, I will just be the happiest little clam. Whoops, look what I just did. Yeah. To improvise. Okay, so I just made a smudge there. So what I'm going to do is just bring out another fern, and I'm going to make it so that is a leaf. There we go. Oh, am I right in the middle? I'm sorry. Still just painting these little fern leaves. So I'm making a little bundle, a little bunch growing off the side here. There, fix that. So I didn't plan on having one there, but I do now because I dropped paint there. I stuck my finger in it. So you're always kind of on the fly, just trying to change things up. Gotta be very flexible if you're going to be an artist, don't you? Yeah, and then after I'm doing this, then it comes time for the jewelry. That's what I call it. So the jewelry to me is splashes and metallic paints and acrylic markers and just different things that I can do on top of everything else. I enjoy all the embellishments, and that's exactly what I think of it. It's like putting jewelry on your painting. So I mean, it looks fine without the jewelry, but if you add the jewelry, it just makes it look extra special. Just like when you're dressing and you add your jewelry to your outfit, or you know, ties and cufflinks and things like that for the men, you know, it just makes it look extra special. Like you cared enough about all the little details, I guess. Oh, I started to tell you about the 3 paintings. So I'm doing the bird's nest, and then I'm also doing a branch where they live. So it's bird's nest, its branch, you know, where it likes to perch in the trees. So it's going to have, you know, all of these resurrection ferns and air plants in the tree itself. So that's going to be pretty. And then also, I'm doing the forest floor for the third one. So, and things that it eats. So I'm pretty sure that it eats little insects and lizards, and of course I'd like to put some mushrooms and things that are on the floor of the woods, even in Florida. So a lot of times I might put these little shadow ghost little plants in the background, but I'll put them in a metallic gold or something that's really kind of sparkly, and I like doing that too. Talk about jewelry. Now that to me is jewelry because I like sparkle. I like jewelry a lot. So all right, so there's, I think it could be right there. There's my ferns there. Don't want to do too many. So I've got them all there. So I have a few up in the other corner, and you can see now they dry very light. So we're not gonna see it too much. But now I want to come over. Whoops, sorry, I'm not being too smooth in my transition. But there's the bottom, and I also want to add a few of these little ferns in the bottom. So on the top I have them spaced out quite a bit at this point, so I want to continue with that light feeling. I don't want to put too many in, so I am making me a puddle here. So this is my puddle, so you can see it's like tinted water, you know, very, very light. I got to add a little bit more and make a bigger puddle. So here, very light. Painting with puddles. Yep, that's what we do. So don't think of it as painting with paint. Painting with tinted puddles of paint. So it's water. Painting with water. Okay, so I'm going to start on this side. So I can bring this around, because here's that branch. So I can bring this around a bit. And then that'll give me, whoops, sorry, 3 spots, the green ones, the shadows, and more shadows. So that'll give me 3 spots right here. But now this clump of fern and this clump of fern are about the same size. And like I said, I didn't want to get too crazy, so I'm just going to put a few little stems of this in here. So we'll have it kind of, oops, just trying to be very light. And as I was saying in the beginning, I wanted to show all my layers in this painting. I don't know why, but I do. So I'm letting it go ahead and layer right over the top instead of putting it behind this shadow here. I really enjoyed this painting. This one has been a lot of fun for me. I love nature-y stuff like this, and I love, you know, just painting layers of things like that. That's really cool. Leave me a comment if you can. If you have any questions, just leave me a comment in my comments on YouTube, and I'll get back to you. Bring that out a little. Just gonna put it right on top. There we go. All right, so there's one of those. So I can have a little bit more maybe coming this, a little tiny one coming right in here. Okay, right there. And I don't want to just leave it at 2. So, I mean, I could bring one up into here. Probably would be a good idea. I got a little bit. I don't know if I'm in the camera or not, but I got a little bit too much paint there. Really where I wouldn't have wanted too much paint. It is drying pretty light though. I just wanted to bring those in, and if I want to, I can always come back with my white to go over that. I don't think I have to though. The white repels a little bit. It does repel a little bit. Okay, so now that looks a little lonely. That one just kind of hanging out over here all by itself. So I think I'm going to put one this way. It's kind of dragging into the white is raised a bit because it's thick stuff. And it is, oops, kind of grabbing it and taking it where it wants to go there instead of my getting a nice point. So I'm not getting the control that I want. Knock that up just a little there. A little bit too dark. And there, okay. And then I think I'll bring one kind of crossing over them all. So that one's here. And you can't see them very well because of the feathers, but it's just there. So you know it's there. Your brain will say it's there. So it's hard to kind of even put it in the details. Can't hardly see what I'm painting on, but it is, like I said, your brain will pick it up. Okay. Alright, so I got some ferns there. And then I think I can put some kind of over a few poking out right in there. So I'm making up some more paint with my well of watery down paint, very light. And I'm still standing and I'm coming around and I got lights and everything else here, don't I? Okay, so I'm just gonna lean on over and try to do this best I can. Pretty bad when an artist can't see out of their own glasses, which is my case. I can't see half the time when I'm painting. I really need new glasses. One day I'll get them. They're too expensive. But I'll get them. I'll break down. Okay. And then right over here, I hope you can see this. Just I think it's gonna rain. I hear it thundering outside. Okay. Yeah, just putting a few more in here. It's cute. Put a couple up here. overlapping them. Okay. And down here. So I'm just kind of looking now, and as I'm looking, I'm seeing spots where I have an opportunity to put a little bit of this ghost fern in here. Okay, I like that. Okay, I'm going to give you another overall view. So you can see I'm going to lift this up really slowly. Move a little forward. Okay, so you can see those little details, the shadows, the little ghost ferns, and I'll slowly move you up here so you can see the top as well. Okay, so then here are some more of those ghost ferns. You can see where we put them. And I'm bringing it up. Hopefully you get a view of the whole painting there. See how it looks. Alright, so now it's time for what I like to call jewelry. So this is just the finishing touches. After I've done the motion marks, I've done kind of the background behind the main subject, then I go on to the main subject, and then fill in with, you know, all of the leaves and shadows. Once I've done the shadows, now I'm just look at it really well and see if I want to do anything more to it. Do I want to add some sparkly watercolor paint? Do I want to do some splashes? Do I want to enhance it a little bit with my acrylic markers? So this is the stage where I just call it jewelry, because it's just putting like little fun little touches that you might not notice a whole lot. Then again, you might, depending on how much you do, but I just like to do a little bit. So what I want to do is put a few little rib marks in these the spine of my leaves here, and I have acrylic marker. So what I'm doing is I'm got a piece of scrap watercolor paper, and the way to activate these markers is you kind of pump it like that. And I don't know if you can see it, but maybe if I draw over the black. See, this is just a real pale creamy yellow. And I don't want to do too much to this, but I do want the spines in the center are yellow, and I just wanted to kind of enhance a little bit of these spines. I don't want to do too much, so it's going to be a fine line, get it? Yeah, so anyway, I'm just going to kind of go up the spine of my leaf here. And smooth that out just a little bit. Make it a little bit fatter. Like that. Okay. Just gonna give it something to land on there. So I'm just doing that with all of my leaves here. Just to give them a little bit more of a little detail. Not too much, just a little bit, not too bold. For me on this one, you can do whatever you want to do, of course, but I'm just drawing with these acrylic markers, just now as I'm looking at it, I'm trying to decide, do I want to add any of the lines going sideways? I don't know actually. I kind of do and I kind of don't. So I don't want to overdo it. I don't want it to look just drawn on all the time everywhere. That might be just enough. I don't want too much, do I? And what do I want to do with these little ferns? Do I want to do anything now that I'm drawing on it? This is the time I need to make these decisions. So I don't want to, I'm going to have to move my paper a little so I can get to this other one here. My dog is under my table. Oh, he's going to get scared and probably run away. Okay, so here I can get to this one here now. And I don't want too much, so I don't think I'm going to go in and do any of the horizontal ones. Let me finish it and then I'll figure it out as I go along here. And I'm just turning, whoops, making you dizzy, sorry. I'm turning my paper and you can kind of take a look over there that's the top of the painting now. And I'm just finishing up this little rip on this leaf. And then I turned my painting around. And truthfully, I liked it better before I did this. So if you're painting along and you don't know if you want to do this part or not, I'm not crazy about it. But it's on there now. And you gotta make it look like it's on purpose, or I say intentional, right? So you don't wanna, do one and then stop and not follow through. You gotta follow through. So that's what we are doing, and I don't hate it. Don't get me wrong. It's just maybe a little bit too much. But if I look at the actual pathos, this center is quite, it stands out, I guess. So that's why I decided that I wanted to go ahead and put it in my painting, because it does really show that line, and you don't see it in a lot of them like this one here. You really don't see it much at all. So that's why I decided to go for it. And it won't bother me. I like it well enough. And I like kind of the movement that it gives it. I really went off the line there. Let's see if I can recover a little bit. I'll come back to that. I think I'm going to put some paint on that. If it'll cover, I'm not sure. So I'll do it on a test piece first. Gotta be a little more careful and slow down the pad here. Most of the time I'm more successful if I go fast. But that time, not so much. And then there's this one here. And that's the last one. And just a little bit of salt. Still on my paper down there. And it's stuck. Alright, so now getting that scrap piece of paper out here. And a little tad of green. Oh, where is my green? Here we go. Yeah, that covers a little bit. Okay. I'm just gonna come. I should have mixed my paint. I'm just trying to hurry too much, I think. And then there's some days that you just don't need to paint. Do you know what I mean? You just know it's just not, you're struggling, it's not turning out what's in your head, and maybe you should have just left well enough alone, you know? Sometimes I feel like that. Oh. A little bit. I want to mix that in a little bit more. Maybe if I go with this brighter green. Yeah. Looks like I tried to fix it, which is what I didn't want. A little bit darker in there. And I'm going to leave it for now. I'll probably come back and fix it a little bit where the acrylic marker was. Okay, so now that I didn't love that, and I don't want to add any more horizontally, I think it's fine actually, though, the way it is. But I would like to add a few more little splashes on it. And also, I'm debating on if I want to do anything with these ferns. They're so pretty, though. I love how they kind of turned out more shaded, so maybe I don't want to mess with them. And let me just do some splashes. Let's do that. So we're about at the end then. This is my last thing I ever do is the splashes, and of course sign my name to it. But I'm gonna rinse out my brush and get it really wet. And I'm going to come in with the moonbeam, which was that purpley gray. And I'm just gonna get my little puddle going here, and you want it, you know, pretty thin. Pretty thin. So I've got a big brush here. I've got a number 14 Escada round, and I've got my moonbeam on it. Moon glow. And then I'm dipping it in my water and getting it very wet. And then I'm going to try to be a little more controlled about it. I'm just kind of letting that drip. Okay, that's a good idea. Stick it right on top of that spot. Just a couple of spots here and there on those leaves, and then I'm going to have them come out. Kind of just where the leaves are, I think. Maybe a couple fine ones behind the ferns just to make it go. And then I'm going back down to the bottom area and I'm adding some down there. So same thing as I did here. Not too much, just a little tiny bit. Too much, you'll definitely just see splashes and you don't really need to. Oh man, I just dropped my brush right on my painting. So let me get some of this paper by the tissue, blot it right up. Oh, came right up. Oh, good. Come completely up. That could have been a disaster. Right at the end, too, huh? Okay, so hold on to your brush. Don't let it fall. And put some splatters down. And just kind of gives it a little artist painted look. Not that I didn't already have that. It certainly doesn't look realistic, but I'm not trying for that. Okay. Maybe a few in the feathers, not much. Just that. Okay. So now I've got that in there. Do I want to add just a little bit of glitz? Just a very tiny area. I've got this here. I have this bronzy gold. I kind of like regular gold. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and activate these metallic paints. Get my brush really, really full. I'm really trying to get her in there. And then I'm dipping it in the water. Oh, pretty. Yes, just a couple. Less of this gold than I did with the the darker. Put a few little down there, tie it all together. And get a little bit more for the bottom here, so I'm just reloading my brush. Oh, I really got a big spot there. Do I like it? I don't know. So I'm putting this on the bottom now. And I know you can't see. Let me get that big blob up. And just a tiny bit more in the one corner. And I think we're going to call this painting done. Just a couple. I don't want any on my bird, but I don't mind it being in his little feathers just a little bit. And over here. Yeah. Okay, I like how he turned out. I'm just blotting up a couple little spots that I didn't want on his feathers. Right there, okay. And then the rest, I think, is good. Okay, now it's done. It is done. So I am going to sign my name on here, and how I like to do it is with watercolor. So I use a quill and I just put my watercolor paint right in the well here. So I'm gonna get me up some. I think I'll sign it in the moonbeam. So I get some in that little area, and then always test it. Always test it to see. So there, it's writing. Okay, so I'm going to come down. I'm on the bottom portion here, and I'm going to sign it. And I know you can't see it, but I don't know if you can. I'm going to show you a whole glimpse of the whole thing here. And I'm just signing it. Barbara Swift. And there we go. It's okay. Okay. All right, we're going to call this one done. I'm going to show you just a picture if I can. So I'm going to take my camera here and give you a nice overall view. Kind of moving. Okay, there's the top. There's my subject, the white egret, in all his fabulous mating plumage. And then we go right on down to the bottom. And there's the more Well, I sure hope that you liked this video. If you did, please subscribe, give me a like, a thumbs up, and press the bell for notifications if you want to know when I do my next one. So until we meet again, I would love to have some comments from you. Let me know if you're painting along with me. And may your art adventure be filled with lots of peace and love. Bye-bye.